Hey, it's your ceiling vent, so I'm dripping. Could be the rain, could be the upstairs bathroom. Yikes. You could hire the guy your neighbor recommended, but I'm pretty sure that's just his cousin. Do we know if he's licensed, or does he just own a ladder?
Listen to your home. Go with Thumbtack. Upload a photo or voice note and we'll diagnose your project and match you with the right pro for the job. Thumbtack. We know homes. Hire the right pro today.
Out here, if you're doing nothing, you're doing everything right. Though on a cruise with Norwegian, even if you're doing nothing, you're still basking in the warm sun, enjoying the peaceful ocean waves. You're breathing. Don't forget about breathing. Definitely need to be breathing. So you get to do nothing, or everything, but you still need to be breathing. It's like really important.
Experience the difference with cruises to Alaska, the Caribbean, and Europe. Norwegian Cruise Line. It's different out here. Visit ncl.com, call your travel advisor, or 1-888-NCL-CRUISE. Norwegian Cruise Line ships registry the Bahamas and USA.
This 2026 U.S. Open Update is presented by Copper Rock, where the pros play on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, and we're joined now by Brian Taylor. Brian Taylor and Bob Casper's appearances this week are brought to you by Mountain America Credit Union, Mountainland Supply, Black Desert Resort, Hoops Vision, and Uinta Golf. BT, good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. How are we?
We are good. How is Shinnecock Hills? Is the wind blowing? I look at the scoreboard. I see guys are already making bogeys.
Yeah, wind's blowing, fog's in, everything's delayed 2 hours this morning. Not exactly how you wanted to start the U.S. Open, but we were up early, and the fog was basically they pulled players off the golf course, and it created a 2-hour delay. And so players finally had a chance to warm up. They're back out there. All tee times today are delayed 2 hours, and the whole morning was calm too. And that's part of the problem is that there was no wind to blow the fog out of there. And so now that the players are back out on the golf course, the wind is picking up, and it's going to be a really interesting test. If you're just tuning in and you're seeing that on TV, you might be thinking you're a month early to the Open Championship. But this is the U.S. Open, where it just looks a little more British, Scottish links than New York links today.
Do you then think it's an advantage, disadvantage, or it doesn't matter as far as having to get warmed up, play, stop, get warmed up again versus the 2-hour delay, and then you only have to get warmed up once?
Yeah, I think it's a huge advantage to not have to go off the golf course, right? The TV crew was trying to fill time for a while, and they were interviewing players like Ricky Fowler standing around. The whole idea is most of the players that had a tee time, for late morning or for early afternoon probably woke up, saw it was a delay, and went back to sleep. But the guys who were out on the golf course, they had to stand around for a little while. Then they were carted back into the clubhouse, and then they sat around and had to go warm up again, and then, be carted back out to their position and go. So anything like that's disruptive. But I was thinking about it this morning, and I was like, if I was playing in one of my first U.S. Opens, or if I was one of the early tee times and I was a little nervous, maybe a little fog delay, just kind of break it up, make you forget about the situation, might be just what the doctor ordered for some of these guys. But for the serious contenders, they just want to get going, and they want to get into their routine, and that's what we're starting to see as Rory McIlroy and his group just teed off a few minutes ago.
You've listened to players all this week. Is there anybody that you've heard that made you think, this guy mentally is really dialed in, or mentally is like, oh, that's not the level of confidence you need when you're facing Shinnecock Hills?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always look for that, because there's a lot of players who, when they get to especially a U.S. Open test where they just complain about everything and they talk about how this looks unfair or this is going to be crazy or whatever. To me, those guys are already beat. And Tom Watson used to say that about the Open Championship, is when the weather, he'd like the weather to be as bad as possible because half the field was eliminated, and then he felt like he could beat the other half. So, and he ended up winning 5 British Open titles. So, but having said that, the players I listened to were all pretty even keeled. In fact, they were pretty calm. I felt like this This was about as calm of a presser as I can remember this week leading into it, and which is interesting given that the history of Shinnecock, because it has caused a lot of consternation. It's been somewhat controversial in times past. So I would say everyone's been pretty calm, pretty mellow. And, Rory did have the comment about the way the USGA is handling the firmness of the golf course this week. And he said when he first heard that they were going to syringe the greens between grooves before and between flights, he thought that was stupid, is his word. He goes, that sounds stupid. But once he listened and understood, he said that makes a lot of sense. So it's going to be interesting. In fact, some of the early coverage showed a guy with a hose out there spraying something down in the background of somebody playing. That seems to be almost like the opposite of what you would expect from a USGA championship. So that said, Bob and I were talking this morning, and with this golf course, they could be overcautious. They could get it over soft. They could do all of the things that would be out of character for a USGA, and the golf course would still win. Like, it's just that good because the winds they look to be relentless. Maybe laying up a little on the weekend, but I think the water probably gets let up a little on the weekend as well. So I think this will be one of those, look at it as kind of a positioning first two rounds. And then you just got to be in position, kind of like when they're doing hot laps or whatever. You just got to be in position. Checkered flag or green flags. Checkered flag is the end of it, right? But anyway, whatever the flag is to start things off, that'll happen Saturday morning. And that's when I think you're going to see the real championship unfold over the last 36 holes.
Can you take the attitude as a golfer out there that, part of the deal is if you hit a bad shot, you have to worry about the rest of the field hitting good shots, like the idea being, well, I got a birdie a par 5 because I know most of the guys are going to do it. All right, well, this course, these situations are not necessarily where you can count on great success in particular holes, particular shots. So can that take the pressure off a little bit, knowing that if I hit a bad shot and I'm in the rough or whatever it might be, there's going to be plenty of other guys that are going to be right there with me?
That's one of the biggest mental challenges of the game you just went through right there is, you feel like you're playing horrible and you feel like you got to press, and then you turn bad situations into worse, and come to find out you get in the clubhouse, you look around and man, everybody is struggling. Turns out it was really just that hard. So right. Yeah, I think patience is a huge key. I think mental challenge. I mean, John Bodenhammer, the chief championships officer for the USGA, said that he wants, when they set up their championships, he wants all 14 clubs to get dirty, and he wants to mess with the 6 inches between your ears. He wants that to be a mental grind. And so, yeah, I think that's a part of it. I think you described that. And I think the guys that have been out here before, you got to think, man, the best players in the world are playing out here. Surely somebody's going to go on a run, and it wouldn't surprise me. Somebody's going to get hot. Somebody's going to hit the right shot. Someone's going to get the right breaks, and they might drop a low number. When I say low, it might be 3 or 4 under. Which would be pretty remarkable. But can they do that consistently over 4 days? That's unlikely, right? So I think for the most part, these guys are, especially in these first 2 rounds, they're out there getting a feel for it. They're wanting to make sure they don't make any big numbers. Bogeys are okay in U.S. Opens. You're going to have a birdie or 2 out here. You're going to have a couple of bogeys, and you just want to try to get in there around even par and see where you stand. So I don't suspect these, especially the contenders, are going to be looking around too much to what the other players are doing, and mostly just focused on, trying to get it as clean of a card as possible.
Scotty Scheffler turns 30 on Sunday. It's Father's Day. Should I look at that and the karma and think, well, he's been close. He's got a bunch of second and third place finishes here. He's going to win on his 30th birthday on Father's Day and complete the career Grand Slam, obviously. Or he's going to be standing off to the side saying, this is what's really important, holding a kid. We're going to go celebrate my birthday and Father's Day. It's just a golf tournament. Oh, well.
I think he'll feel that way regardless of what happens, knowing Scotty. But, that scenario played out multiple times for Phil Mickelson over the years because his birthday's right around this time as well. And he had some Sunday, birthdays, and it never came to fruition for old Phil. And, so, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Look, I love a good storyline. Everybody loves a good storyline. And Scotty Scheffler in contention on his birthday to win a career Grand Slam would be, I mean, who's not tuning in to watch that, right? So I hope that's the case coming down the stretch. But Scotty, look, he's just turning 30, as you said. So it doesn't feel like that clock is ticking on him. I don't remember if we already had this conversation, but it just doesn't feel like the weight of the Grand Slam is continuing to pile up on Scotty Scheffler like it was Rory McIlroy early. I don't know know if that's because the Masters, from the time, from July to April, that's a long time between major championships. And there's a lot of anticipation coming into the Masters. And so there's a lot of time to talk about and think about and ask Rory about this, elusive, final major to complete that career Grand Slam. So, and it just feels like the anticipation going into the Masters is always so high. So I felt like that was a heavier weight to carry than what I feel like Scotty Scheffler is. He's in the middle of the season. There's tournaments last week, this week, next week. And so it just doesn't feel like it's piling up on him yet. And probably because he's still early on in the process. But, look, give it another 7, 8, 9 years. If he hasn't done it, you'll start to feel some pressure come June when he has an opportunity to complete that. But we'll see.
Right, because Scheffler has been able to have sustained success, whereas McIlroy, Spieth had success early, and then there was a dry spell, and particularly with Rory trying to get this situation. I was going to say Mickelson, but Scotty hasn't gone through that, so it's not a storyline yet. Now, maybe yet is actually never. We don't know as far as that
Likely,
goes.
though, right? My biggest thing with watching this, PK, to your point, is these windows that these players have where they're being dominant or successful, they're not very long.
No.
I mean, I think the what you see with Tiger is every time one of these guys bursts on the scene, look at McIlroy, look at Spieth, look at Koepka, right? Every time you see them just go out and dominate and they start getting compared to Tiger Woods, and then all of a sudden they fall off. We don't hear from them for a while.
Right.
You start to realize how amazing Tiger was over a decade. That window was open longer than most golfers. So, I'm not saying Scheffler's done, but I think it's interesting to note that, this isn't the kind of season. He's got to win in a bunch of seconds. Phenomenal. But he certainly isn't dominating and swinging the same as he was even a year ago. So we'll see.
I wouldn't say he's done by any stretch. Maybe you can argue there's a little bit of leveling off.
Yeah. But I don't think the window's closed, but I think it is something to watch.
Right.
It certainly could.
Yeah, right.
You know how this thing is. Like that window could close and he might go 3 or 4 years and then boom, he pops it back open again. You don't hope that. You don't wish that, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, Rory went a long time. And then that, I think that's part of the emotion, where Scheffler's not showing much emotion because it seems like he's winning every other day. So this is what I do. You know what I mean? He hasn't had that big struggle or that big dry or drought period yet. And maybe he won't have it. Maybe he'll win a bunch. And then when he goes, maybe that's just he peaked and he's done, so to speak, as far as winning at a high level, or maybe he doesn't. We're waiting for Spieth. I think if Spieth somehow gets it back and wins a major, you're going to see it bring him to his knees because there's just been this big dry spell. Now, part of it is these guys have lives and they do other things and they have kids and whatnot, and so that stuff, the Johnny Miller story, it sort of gets in the way, and they're kind of okay with it.
Yeah, look, at some point in time, you have to put it all in perspective. But the competitor in these guys that drives them to be the best in the world doesn't allow them to settle for second place, right? And so it eats at them, it drives them. But, you've always got injuries, physical things, as you mentioned, other things in your life that can cause distraction. Not that it was a bad distraction, but distraction nonetheless, right? So, yeah, I mean, I look at Tony, right? I mean, Tony Finau was in the final group, was he in the final? He was tied for the 54-hole lead anyway, coming here last time, and he doesn't even qualify to play this week. That's kind of surprising. So, but here's the thing that you have to take into consideration as well, is just watching this group tee off. Ludwig Oberg is right there playing with Tommy Fleetwood and Rory McIlroy. I'm just waiting for Ludwig Oberg to become the number one player in the world. That guy's got all the tools. He's got all the physical, like everything about Ludwig looks like he should be a number one player in the world at some point in time. So when does he catch fire and jump out? And then all of a sudden, Scotty, it's like, what have you done for me lately? Who's that? Or remember when, kind of thing. And again, not saying that's going to happen, but that's sort of out of your control. Like when you're on the peak of your game, kind of like the Jazz, man, they were really good, but then there was that Jordan guy, right? And so, I mean, stuff happens. That doesn't diminish their greatness. It just sort of was a bit of a obstacle in achieving their ultimate goal. And so a lot of these players are absolutely phenomenal. And how many majors would guys have won if Tiger hadn't been playing, or, Scheffler or Rory in his window, that kind of thing. And so I think not only just their own sort of just game and windows and abilities, but then the rest of the guys, who's coming coming up, who's catching fire, who's having that run. I mean, those are interesting things to consider.
I think it was Rory who had a comment that, hey, we had a pretty good thing going on the PGA Tour, and now we're looking at all these schedule changes because of LIV, but LIV paying all that money didn't really work for them. I mean, it sounds like Rory wants to go back to what was, but that isn't where this is headed. 2 tours or 2 tiers to the same tour or something like that. Is anybody with Rory, or is everybody else looking at bigger paydays and a new system?
Well, look, Rory just stated what's the obvious, right? When this whole thing started a few years ago, I've been beating this drum. It's not sustainable. It was never sustainable. And I love that he threw out they created a false economy. That's exactly what happened. These guys weren't worth that much money. Tours can't operate spending that much money. And it's clear. I mean, if something is too expensive for the Saudis, who can afford it, right? I mean, those guys seemingly have unlimited money. So if it was too expensive for them, then it's certainly too expensive for anybody. And so, yeah, look, what he was saying is, hey, turns out we had a pretty good thing going. Turns out, the purses that we were dealing with were still great, and we could operate, and we didn't have, with this extra money comes additional responsibility and requirements to play more often. And I think what Rory's trying to say is what he's always said is he wants to be able to make his own schedule. You notice he always throws that in there. I'm going to keep playing my own schedule. So it doesn't matter how much money they throw at it. Rory's saying he's not going to play more than he normally plays. But if you're a sponsor and you're being asked to up the purse, to spend more money, you pretty much want the guarantee that those top players are going to be there, Rory and the others. And that was the one thing that LIV was really hanging their hat on, saying, hey, look, guys, you don't have to worry about who's going to be in the field. You don't have to wonder who might show up. Our guys are going to always show up because they're under contract. Now, there's something appealing from a sponsorship standpoint for that model. But when that happens, sometimes you don't get the best of the guys and they don't want to be there, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. So I think what Rory's saying is when it all shakes down, it's probably going to look a whole lot more like it did before than what it probably was on the trajectory to be when LIV came and disrupted everything. So that said, what a great time to be on top of your game, man. I mean, there was a lot of money. That money is real. I don't care where it came from. I don't care if it was a false economy, whatever. Those checks cashed and those players made a lot of money. And so, good time to be a professional golfer at the highest level, and we'll see where it all shakes out. But I don't see how it's sustainable to be able to have these $20-30 million purses for 20 events of the year and then have some little, as he called it, glorified Corn Ferry events. That comment was a bit of a blow to what the PGA Tour is trying to do, because that makes it really difficult to sell to that next tier of sponsorships. If you're saying, hey, it's tier 2 PGA Tour, it's still PGA Tour. And then, them say, well, Rory says glorified Corn Ferry. So let's go with that cost.
Mickelson's birthday is June 16th and Scheffler's is June 21st. And they're both trying to acquire their first U.S. Open. And obviously Phil is likely done. But Phil, in his heyday with a June birthday right around the U.S. Open, he was known, his nickname was Lefty. Why isn't Scheffler known as righty?
You see what fog delays will do to this conversation.
How come nobody's nicknamed righty, but we've got plenty of people nicknamed lefty? I don't understand.
That's an old Seinfeld bit. One of his original bits that he did, I think, on the Johnny Carson show, where he talked about that. He goes, how come the criminal's always lefty? It's never good to be left. You're left out. I won't try to do much, but it was a great Seinfeld bit.
I saw yesterday, I've been using this line. Sometimes I have to do a little public speaking, and I saw this very thing when I speak. I spoke to some golfers down in Mexico. And I'm telling them, I'm looking forward to the golf season. I got some new clubs, and I also got my ball retriever regripped. And it gets a laugh. And I saw somebody put that very thing out on Twitter. I should have trademarked that, just like I should have trademarked Magic Happened.
Yeah, no one's ever said that before. Do you have a ball retriever, though?
Yeah, I play with DJ.
Oh, so you're going to admit it, but you're going to qualify it.
I'm a friend. On my tombstone, it's going to read, he was a friend.
By the
He
way,
was willing to break out the embarrassing ball retriever to retrieve his friend's ball.
He finishes like every third segment with "on my tombstone." Yak and I always talk about he's going to need a mausoleum just to get everything engraved on it.
I said it needed to be a scrolling screen.
Oh, yeah, you wanted the electronic sign.
Because there's no way to fit it all in stone.
Yeah.
Right. Multifaceted, aren't we all?
The PK pyramid. Can we get the PK pyramid somewhere?
Hey, let me give you a list of names, and you tell me if you think any of them are going to win the tournament, win the championship. You ready?
Okay.
Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Cameron Young, Matt Fitzpatrick, Russell Henry, Bryson DeChambeau.
I got to remember all these.
Tommy Fleetwood, Alex Fitzpatrick, or Wyndham Clark. He just needs one or two to jump out at him.
I think I would take all but the last two there. And
Okay.
say, yeah, good shot. Yeah.
All right. There
And
you
you
go.
know what? The last two are pretty good picks. I mean, you could argue Wyndham Clark's the hottest player on tour right now, but
We're a little.
I just think there's karma. Sorry.
Yeah, we're a little limited because we can't pick the guys we picked earlier. We can only pick them once a year now, so you got to spread it. You got to spread it out. There, like you said, Oberg is a good pick. Well, PK and I picked him in the previous tournament, so we can't pick him now.
Yeah.
But
Sorry about
don't-
that. That was probably my fault because I would have definitely told you to pick that.
Do not leave out and ignore Joaquin Newman.
See, we left him out. We did not pick him. we
Joaquin
did ignore
Newman?
him.
What was that again?
Yeah, what's his last name? What's Joaquin's
Is
last
that,
name?
are we on the Seinfeld thing here?
Yeah.
Neiman. Joaquin Neiman.
Yeah,
There
that's
you go.
close enough. I Americanized it.
It's like Russell Henry or Henley. You know, let's not let the
Or Shane Lowry, for that matter.
details.
I love a good Irishman.
So
Perhaps
who'd you pick? Who's your leader? Who's your guy, DJ? Who'd you go with?
I took Rory in the first round. I took Russell Henley in the second, and Alex Fitzpatrick in the third.
Okay. I mean, not terrible. What do you got, PK?
Not terrible, thank you.
Who do I have?
PK took Cameron Young in the first, Bryson DeChambeau in the second, and Wyndham Clark in the third.
I like both your first picks. I think the rest of them are pick'ems. But I know Bob took Scotty Scheffler.
He
so.
took Scotty Ryder, and then he took Matt Fitzpatrick
He took
and Tommy
righty.
Fleetwood.
Oh, Bob's got the stronger lineup there, boys.
I took Fleetwood back in the Masters, so he was off the board for me.
Well, I
and PK
did-
took him in the PGA.
The PGA, I took all foreigners. So I'm trying to go, a particular pattern. And on this one, I took all white guys.
Oh, right. That's smart. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
I thought you weren't going to give him anything, but that wow brought a little smile to his face. That's all he wants is a reaction.
Don't get all queasy.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care what kind of reaction, as long as it's a reaction.
Jeez.
Just something to let him know you heard it and you're alive. That's all he asks.
Unbelievable.
Maybe you should go now. Maybe it'd be safer, Brian.
Well, we're hanging out in this the
Fog
comfortable
delay.
confines of this beautiful Hampton house that we're staying in, and so yeah, we're gonna head over to the golf course. As we said, they are playing. We'll have a lot more to talk about. We'll have a lot of golf under our belt tomorrow morning, so should be a much.
We're
more
off tomorrow
insightful
morning, Brian.
conversation. Oh, that's right. Enjoy your holiday.
We will. Thank you.
Good to visit with you, boys.
Brian Taylor, Bob Casper, they are at Shinnecock Hills for the U.S. Open Golf Championship, and they will have more for you coming up with Scotty G and the coach, Tim Lacombe, 10 to 2 today. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
Summer is all about freedom, fun, and growing up. And between the ages of 9 and 13, kids are starting to form their views about alcohol. With more independence, their still developing brains need more guidance and support than ever. That's why summer is the perfect time to stay connected and plan fun, safe family activities together. Research shows kids who spend quality time with their parents doing what they enjoy are less likely to drink underage. And when kids feel close to you, they're more likely to listen, especially when you set clear expectations. In fact, kids who drink before 15 are far more likely to struggle with alcohol later. This summer, create a no-bummer summer with fun, alcohol-free activities for your kids. Go to summer.parentsempower.org to take a quick quiz and discover ideas tailored to your family. A little time together can make a big difference. For more information and to learn more about how to prevent underage drinking, visit parentsempowered.org.